Chapter 1: The Ashen Orbit. The path to the battlefield was long and exhausting. Gravity fluctuations grew stronger with every light year, distorting space, confusing instruments. Automatic navigation became unreliable, and by the end, the crew was forced to steer Orion almost manually. The hull groaned under pressure, inertial compensators struggled to keep up, and the ship systems blinked with yellow and red alerts. Everyone on board felt the weight of deep space, like it was resisting their presence, trying to push them back. Through the viewport stretched a dark void, cut occasionally by streaks of distant stars. But soon, a planetary body emerged ahead, a large, dark sphere, once teeming with life. Now, there was only ash. The crew fell silent. Even the ever-joking navigator, Mills, said nothing as the planet filled the main screen. It resembled a charred monument, scorched land, collapsed cities, cratered plains. Somewhere down there, life had once flourished. Now it was silent. "We're entering orbit," reported Helmsman Carter. "Gravitational pull is erratic. Adjusting thrusters manually." "Watch out for debris," Logan replied calmly. "Keep scanning. I want full visuals of the equatorial region." "Copy that." The transition into orbit was tense. Debris, like a swarm of ancient predators, could strike at any moment. The navigators tracked every fragment in real time, adjusting course by the second. In unstable gravity, even a small object could be fatal. Orion shook with each correction, but held steady. When the ship finally stabilized in an elliptical orbit, the full view of the planet appeared on screen. "My God," someone whispered. The planet was crisscrossed with scars. Its surface looked like scorched metal, etched with burn lines, craters, and chasms. In some places, outlines of cities remained, now chaotic ruins, sunken in ash. Soil analysis shows traces of high-energy thermonuclear impact, reported Hayes, who had returned to the bridge. There was life here. Someone erased it. Or tried to protect it, Logan murmured. Sometimes destruction is the last line of defense. A new image appeared, part of the surface near the equator. A massive crater surrounded by remains of something resembling spacecraft. "Destroyed in orbit, but crashed on the surface," noted Riley. "Self-destruct systems? Precision strikes? Unknown. But judging by structure, these ships tried to stop something that came from outside. An invasion?" Logan didn't answer at first. He stared at the image, eyes reflecting something deeper than simple curiosity. He was close to the goal, perhaps a secret long buried, or a weapon spoken of only in deep space telescope images, distorted, filled with static, but showing a scale of destruction beyond human understanding. "Prepare survey drones," he finally ordered. "We begin orbital scans in the morning. Then we go down." Hayes looked at him, uncertain. "Captain, are you sure we should?" "We didn't come for certainty, Doctor. We came for truth. And it's down there. Beneath the ash." That night, many aboard didn't sleep. Engineers tested structural integrity, rechecked comms, reinforced shielding. Scientists argued over safe scan zones and survey routes. Logan was alone in his quarters. On the desk lay a printed copy of an old deep space image, a fragment of the battlefield taken decades ago. It was blurred, grainy, lines, flares, distorted forms. But at its center stood something, a structure or a being, rising from wreckage. A tower, or maybe a creature. Or maybe a weapon. He stared at it for a long time, trying to breathe life into the image. "If you're real, we'll find you," he thought. "And then everything will change." Chapter 2: Remnants in Orbit. The landing was organized in haste. The engineers donned heavy exosuits equipped with autonomous generators, in case of unexpected energy surges. The transport bay of the Orion filled with the dry hum of engines as the shuttle slowly detached from the ship's hull. The captain watched the descent through a projection. The vessel they were approaching lay in the shadow of a shattered orbital ring. Its outer hull was covered with bluish crystalline growths, almost organic in nature, as if the ship had grown until it was torn apart. "I see a cavity in the central section," Technician Grayson reported. "Looks like we're entering what used to be an energy core. It's stable. No movement." The team initiated scanning procedures. Hannah monitored the data streams from the ship's terminal. "There are residual energy fields inside," she noted. "Material structures unusual. Molecular bonds suggest a hybrid of organic and crystalline components. It almost seems like a living structure, long dead." They advanced down narrow corridors leading to the ship's core. The walls were patterned with vascular-like textures, as if the ship had once pulsed with life. Occasionally, arcs of energy sparked along the interior, fragments of a decaying power system. "There were no airlocks here," Grayson added. "These ships weren't built for humans. No atmosphere, never was. Everything's designed for something else." At the heart of the vessel, one chamber remained intact. Inside stood a construct that vaguely resembled a reactor. But instead of a familiar spherical shape, it was geometrically complex, interwoven facets emitting a faint, internal glow. "This could be a weapon," someone muttered. Grayson carefully approached the object, his gloves twitching as he activated the analysis module. "It's dormant. No active emissions. But it's not inert either. Some sort of hibernation mode?" "No signs of a control interface," Hannah said quietly. "If this is a weapon, it might be bioresponsive, tuned to the species that created it. We might not even be able to activate it." The captain's voice crackled through the comms. "Collect everything that's stable. No dismantling. If it's transportable, bring it in whole." The shuttle's hold was filled with fragments and samples. Along with the main object, they loaded panels from the inner walls, crystalline wiring, and several unknown devices. The ship's external structure was too fragile to touch. Back aboard the Orion, the decontamination protocol was extended. The cargo was sealed in the deep lab section, surrounded by radiation dampeners. The object, strangely beautiful in its alien symmetry, rested in a containment field, unmoving. Logan stood at the observation window, hands clasped behind his back. The stars shifted slowly as the Orion adjusted its position. "There's more down there," he said, almost to himself. This was just the shell. Behind him, Dr. Alara approached, hesitant. "We need time to study it carefully. Whatever this technology is, it could change everything, or destroy us." Logan didn't respond immediately. His eyes remained fixed on the stars. "We didn't come this far to be cautious." Chapter 3, Echoes of the Past. The silence on the Orion's bridge was almost reverent. Beyond the viewport stretched the shattered remains of a battlefield that had been frozen in time for what could have been millennia. Fragments of enormous ships drifted through the void, some as large as city blocks, others nothing more than twisted slivers of alloy and composite. The planet below, scorched and pitted, remained silent, its surface marked by the aftermath of destruction beyond human comprehension. "Focus on Sector Theta 4, Captain Logan ordered, leaning forward in his chair. "We have a partially intact vessel there. I want a full scan and a landing team prepped. Priority is structural stability and anything resembling weapon systems." On the secondary screen, a grainy image from the scout drone appeared. The ship in question was long, tapering toward a blade-like bow, its surface charred but not torn. What stood out was a large elliptical dome embedded at the rear, a possible power core or something more sinister. Dr. Vera Lang's voice crackled through the comms. "Captain, permission to accompany the landing team. We may find biological evidence or stored genetic data. This could be the key to understanding who they were." Logan considered for a moment. "You have 10 minutes. Keep your distance from anything that looks active or reactive. The shuttle descended carefully, maneuvering between jagged debris. Inside the alien ship, corridors opened like the ribcages of fossilized beasts. Some walls shimmered faintly, as if still holding residual energy. The team moved in tight formation, sensors extended. "This place isn't dead," Vera whispered, adjusting her visor. "It's dormant." They reached a sealed chamber. Inside was a large capsule, semi-transparent and filled with a viscous blue fluid. Suspended within it, a strange mass, dark and geometric, pulsing faintly. The object looked less like a construct and more like a crystallized organ. Vera activated the scanners. The readings were chaotic. Composition, unknown. Temperature, unstable. Energy signatures, rhythmic, inconsistent with any known technology. "Captain," she said quietly. "I think it's alive. Or at least, functioning in some way. We're detecting pulse-like activity, almost like a heartbeat." "Return to the shuttle immediately," Logan's voice came cold and firm. "Seal the capsule. Do not engage. Lock down that entire section remotely." "Acknowledged," Vera replied. Logan turned back to the bridge monitors. Another team had approached a different wreck, this one clearly weaponized. A massive cylindrical structure protruded from the hull, lined with ridges that could be emitters or hatches. It wasn't bolted on, it had grown from the ship's spine. "Commander Kane, report," Logan asked. "We're near the forward array. This isn't a cannon. It's something else, maybe biological, or part organic. It's as if the weapon was bred into the ship itself." "Is it stable?" "Externally, yes. But when we got close, we registered a surge of residual energy. It reacted to our presence." Logan's jaw tightened. He had read classified reports, documents describing bioenergetic weapons capable of wiping out entire colonies in seconds. Most were dismissed as rumors. But what if this was the proof? "Secure it. No tampering. Use automated loaders only. Bring it aboard under quarantine." The loading procedure was tense. From the bridge, Logan monitored every movement of the drones through multiple feeds. The alien device, if it even qualified as a weapon, was gently encased in a containment shell, suspended by magnetic clamps. The ship's engineers had modified one of the cargo holds into a provisional isolation chamber. No direct contact, no electromagnetic probing, no unnecessary scans. "Seal the bulkhead once it's inside," Logan instructed. "And keep the entire deck restricted. No exceptions." The crew obeyed, but the unease was spreading. They had found something that breathed a strange kind of potential and threat. Something that should not have survived. Vera returned to the bridge, her expression tight. "Captain, with respect, this may not be a weapon. It could be a component of a larger system, or even a form of communication. We're basing assumptions on appearance alone." "And I respect your caution," Logan said. "But if there's even a chance that this was used in the war that scorched that planet, then it changes everything. This isn't just about understanding. It's about ensuring we're not next." Behind him, the tactical display updated. A new signal had emerged, another relatively intact wreckage, drifting at the edge of the planetary debris field. This one had a slightly different profile. Smaller, sleeker, its hull seemingly built for maneuverability rather than brute force. "Kane, dispatch another team to intercept and scan. We're running out of time. I want every viable piece of tech mapped and catalogued." The silence on the bridge grew heavier. "Captain," Vera said finally, lowering her voice. "We can't take all of it. The ship's capacity is limited. We'll have to choose what comes with us, and what stays behind." Logan knew this was coming. They were operating at the edge of safe weight limits. Every artifact, every piece of hull, every mysterious shard or capsule took up space, space that could otherwise hold fuel, food, or oxygen reserves. "I'm aware," he said quietly. "That's why we prioritize." The implication hung in the air. Not science. Not history. Not diplomacy. Power. Back on the surface of the alien planet, the last scout team withdrew, navigating carefully through collapsing structures and flickering fields of radiation. No other life signs were detected. No survivors. No communication. The war, whoever it was between, had left nothing but scorched rock and mechanical corpses behind. And yet, in the silence, something still lingered. Not voices. Not movement. Just the faint echo of purpose, one the crew didn't understand but couldn't ignore. As the Orion pulled away from orbit to a safer distance, its engines pushed through the slow drag of fractured gravity wells. The object now secured in the cargo bay began to emit a low-frequency hum, just beyond human hearing. No one noticed, yet. But the ship had changed. Something had come aboard with them. Chapter 4: The Explosion. The loading operation was proceeding slower than expected. The alien vessel's structure was more fragile than it appeared, and transferring its internal compartments into the Orion's cargo bay demanded meticulous care. Two mechanics in EVA suits guided a containment box along a magnetic rail, inch by inch, toward the shuttle's hold. A soft hum of static filled the channel, interrupted only by their measured breathing and terse instructions. Captain Logan watched the entire operation from the bridge. His arms were folded, and his eyes, narrowed with tension, never left the live feed from the hull cameras. He had ordered full priority on retrieving the weapon-like device buried inside the alien ship, whatever it was. He didn't care that it hadn't been studied thoroughly yet. Time was slipping away. The gravitational instability surrounding the planet was intensifying. They had to leave soon, or risk never leaving at all. "Status?" he asked sharply into the comm. "We're almost there, sir," came the reply from Ava Martinez, the lead engineer. "Box 5 is locked and loaded. 6 is en route. We're being careful, some of this tech is sensitive to EM exposure." "Understood," Logan replied. He didn't need them to be careful. He needed them to be fast. From the science deck, Dr. Lenora Chambers sent another encrypted message to the captain. He opened it on the auxiliary display. "This is reckless. We need to isolate the core component before moving it. Signs of unstable energy patterns persist." Logan ignored it. He had already made his decision. If this object had even a fraction of the power they suspected, Earth couldn't afford to wait. Down in the cargo bay, something began to flicker. A faint pulse of light, like a heartbeat, glowed inside one of the containment units. Martinez stopped moving. "Box 6 is reacting," she said. "I don't know why, but wait." The screen turned white. Then came the sound. A burst of static thundered through the speakers on the bridge. Lights dimmed for a split second. Alerts blinked red across every station. A tremor rippled through the ship's spine. Logan gripped the console. "What just happened?" "Explosion in cargo deck B," shouted Commander Reeves. "We've lost Box 6, and Mechanic Jared Connors. Hull breach contained. Emergency bulkheads are holding." A cold silence took over the bridge. Logan's jaw tightened. Connors was one of their best. And now he was gone. The cost of this mission was climbing fast, but they were too deep to turn back now. He turned toward the intercom. "Get me Martinez. And tell Chambers I want her analysis of that energy pattern, immediately." Ava Martinez's voice came through the comm, shaken but controlled. "We've secured the deck, Captain. Radiation levels are within limits, but we're getting irregular magnetic surges from the remaining cargo. Whatever triggered the blast, it wasn't mechanical. On the science deck, Dr. Chambers finally broke her silence. Her voice was laced with quiet frustration. I warned you this could happen. These aren't just weapons, Logan. They're biological tech hybrids. We're dealing with something grown, not built. And it's reacting to us. Logan didn't flinch. And I told you, we're not leaving it behind. Keep your team on analysis. We'll isolate the remaining devices, reinforce shielding. No more mistakes. Chambers muttered something under her breath, then cut the line. Reeves approached him quietly. Sir, morale is slipping. After what happened to Connors. Logan turned to face him, his voice low. I didn't bring this crew light years across unknown space to walk away from the most important find in human history. You remind them of that. Connors gave his life for something bigger than any of us. Reeves nodded, though the weight in his expression remained. As the hours passed, the ship's mood grew colder. The team worked in shifts, cataloging what little remained of the alien wreckage. The survivors of the salvage operation were quiet, keeping to themselves. The blast had left more than a wound in the hull, it had cracked the fragile trust holding the crew together. In the mess hall, hushed conversations rippled between crew members. Some questioned the captain's judgment. Others stood by him, believing the mission's value outweighed the risk. The divide wasn't yet mutiny, but it was a seed. One that could grow in the silence of deep space. Logan sat alone in the observation lounge that night, staring out at the ruined planet below. It hung like a tombstone in the void, ash-gray and silent. He thought of Connors, of the choice he had made, of the things they still didn't understand. His reflection flickered against the glass. So much had been lost already. And more might still be required. But there was no going back. He tapped the comm. This is the captain. Set a course to break orbit. Prep for departure. We have what we came for. And Earth is waiting. Chapter 5, The Choice. The cargo bay was already crammed with collected artifacts, broken data cores, fragments of alien alloys, and remnants of crystalline devices that had once lined the control nodes of a long-dead civilization. Outside, shuttles buzzed like insects, ferrying crates from the orbital excavation site to the hold of the Orion. Every minute of delay threatened to turn opportunity into loss. On the bridge, Captain Logan reviewed the manifests. The newly discovered military module, the device found in the small alien vessel, was far heavier than expected. Fitting it securely required offloading part of the earlier scientific cargo. Sir, we won't be able to load both the alien core and the final scientific containers, came the voice of Chief Engineer Ramirez over comms. We're at structural limits. Logan's jaw tightened. How long until the next shuttle departs? 7 minutes. Below deck, in the staging bay, the head of the science team, Dr. Alyssa Greer, stood blocking a container from being pushed aside by a cargo drone. You can't just throw this out, she barked at the logistics officer. That crate holds fragments of their written language. We might never get another chance to learn from it. The captain's voice came through the overhead speakers. Dr. Greer, report to the command channel. Now. A moment later, her face appeared on the main display in front of Logan. Captain, this is unacceptable, she began without ceremony. You're prioritizing a weapon, an alien weapon, over knowledge that could reshape our understanding of the universe. And you're forgetting our mission, Logan replied coldly. To secure any technology that could offer Earth an edge in the coming decades. That device is the only one of its kind. Because it kills, she snapped. Because it's easy to understand violence. Because Earth has enemies, Doctor. You live in a dream of analysis. I live in the reality of threats. Then don't pretend this is a scientific expedition. Call it what it is, a scavenger hunt for tools of destruction. Their standoff echoed across the bridge. Several officers looked away from the screen, unwilling to meet the captain's eyes. In the end, the decision wasn't philosophical. It was brutally physical. A klaxon rang out as the ship's systems calculated remaining cargo capacity. Either the military unit or 3 large science containers could be loaded, there was no middle ground. "I need your final decision, Captain," came Ramirez again. "We're at countdown -5 minutes. Logan didn't hesitate. "Eject the science crates." On the cargo deck, robotic arms moved with mechanical precision, lifting the marked containers and guiding them back into the awaiting shuttle. Dr. Greer didn't speak. She simply turned and walked away. Silence blanketed the bridge as the final shuttle sealed its hatch and began ascent. Below them, the planet's shattered surface glowed under weak starlight, a tomb of ancient war. Logan watched the readouts as the alien weapon was anchored and connected to monitoring systems. The room seemed colder somehow, as if the ship itself disapproved. In his quarters, hours later, the captain stared out at the stars. He'd made the only choice possible. At least, that's what he told himself. The Orion began its withdrawal from orbit, engines lighting up the void. But as the ship turned, scanners picked up something unusual, another signal, faint and regular, coming from just beyond the shadow of the ruined world. Another wreck? Another trap? Or another chance? Captain Logan leaned forward. "Adjust course. Let's get a closer look." A new discovery awaited in the silence beyond the planet. The mission wasn't over yet. Not by a long shot. Chapter 6, Echoes of War. The Orion drifted cautiously in low orbit, its sensors sweeping the darkness ahead. Beyond the lifeless planet, the starfield shimmered with the faintest flickers of metallic reflections. Something was there, not debris this time, not wreckage, something whole. "Captain, we're picking up a large object at 2,000 kilometers, starboard side. Configuration, definitely artificial." "Not a rock," said Lieutenant Monroe, her voice steady but taut. Logan leaned forward on the command chair. "Define artificial." "It's shaped. Symmetrical hull, internal compartments. Preliminary scan suggests an armored structure." A heavy silence fell on the bridge. "Another ship," Logan said, more to himself than to the crew. "Helm, approach at minimal speed. Eyes open." As Orion edged closer, the shape resolved into a massive vessel, embedded in a slow tumble, blackened and scarred but otherwise intact. Unlike the other wrecks around the planet, this one had retained its silhouette, a wedge-shaped warship, its hull like a serrated blade against the stars. Logan activated internal comms. "Engineering and science teams to forward bay. Prepare recon drones and boarding gear. We may have found a vault of knowledge, or a loaded gun." He did not leave the bridge. He would not. His place was here, steering humanity's spearpoint into the void. The recon team launched within the hour. Drones first, silent scouts feeding back fragmented imagery, burnt-out corridors, twisted beams, signs of violence, but no breach in the main structure. Then the boarding crew followed. 2 engineers, a security officer, and Dr. Karen Voss herself. Logan monitored everything from his console, earpiece humming with their voices. "We're inside," came Voss's voice. "Atmosphere's gone, gravity's minimal. The airlock was half open. Looks like emergency protocols shut the rest of the ship down." "Any signs of life?" Logan asked. "None. And no bodies. Just emptiness. Like it was evacuated or never crewed." Logan frowned. "Proceed carefully. Prioritize systems access. I want to know what this ship was doing here, and if it's carrying anything dangerous." They moved deeper through the corridors, guided by the drones. One of the engineers cursed. "What is it?" Voss asked. "Looks like a weapons bay, still sealed." Logan sat up straighter. Can you access it? Give us 5 minutes. The moments crawled by. Through the feed, Logan saw glimpses of the ship's design, strange markings on the walls, control panels unlike anything they had encountered before. Alien, yet oddly purposeful. This was no relic of chaos. It was a machine of intent. Finally, the voice came back. Captain, we've opened it. The screen flickered to show a chamber lined with containers, sleek, cylindrical devices arranged with mechanical precision. A dozen, maybe more. Torpedo-shaped objects, said Voss. Each one sealed. Energy signatures are faint, but present. I'd say they're some kind of weapons. Not damaged. Logan's voice was low. Can we bring them aboard? We can. Carefully. But we need to be sure they won't react to proximity with the device we already have in the hold. Logan's eyes darkened. Do it. And run every test you can before they touch Orion's deck. Dr. Voss's team spent the next 3 hours scanning, logging, and carefully transferring the alien weapons from the derelict warship into isolated containment aboard Orion. Every move was deliberate, every clamp and tether double-checked. Logan watched it all unfold from the bridge, never leaving his post. These things are pristine, Voss said during one of the updates. There's no corrosion, no microfractures. The material seems to resist degradation. And the internal energy cores, they're dormant, but active. Waiting. Waiting for what? Logan asked. Voss didn't answer immediately. A command, perhaps. Or a signal. That made Logan tense. Could the device in our hold be that signal? We don't know yet. But as a precaution, we've placed the new weapons in a separate shielded bay. Good. Logan tapped the console. And the derelict? Anything else of use? We're still going through data cores. Most are encrypted or too damaged. But some files are partially intact, visual logs, star maps, systems diagnostics. It's going to take time. You have 2 days. Then we leave orbit. There was silence again, but he knew Voss understood. Time was no longer a luxury. The longer they lingered, the more they risked something waking up, either from within the wreck, or worse, from somewhere else in the system. The second day passed with mounting tension. The crew was restless, pulled between awe and fear. Some whispered about the weapons, whether they should be handled at all. Others stared too long at the derelict warship floating in silence behind them. Logan called a private session with Commander Hale. The team is split, Hale said. Half of them are with you, they see the weapons as a way to protect Earth. The other half think we're making a mistake. That we're dragging back something we don't understand. They're not wrong, Logan admitted. But we're not explorers. We're the vanguard. If we don't bring back something that shifts the balance, the next war might end before it begins. And if these things trigger that war instead? Then better us than the next ship full of civilians. The decision had already been made. That night, under the captain's orders, the Orion disengaged from the derelict and began a slow ascent from the planet's orbit. The alien torpedoes were now secured. Whatever power lay within them, dormant or waiting, was aboard. In the darkness, the derelict warship turned slowly, its open weapons bay still exposed to the stars. Watching them go. On the bridge, Logan stared at the receding vessel. A battlefield long dead, its purpose buried, its final shot never fired. And yet, somehow, it still lingered. Take us out of orbit, he said. Set course away from the system. Maximum sensor sweep. Aye, Captain. As the ship surged forward, a quiet alarm chimed. The device in Orion's hold had registered a spike. A pulse. A signal sent. Logan leaned forward. What the hell was that? The sensors officer frowned. It came from us, sir. From the alien device. Logan's eyes narrowed. Did it transmit anything back? A pause. Then, no. But, the derelict ship just powered a relay. One of its systems lit up. Logan stood slowly, spine rigid. Monitor it. Do not engage. And in the silence of deep space, the message was clear. The weapons were not dead. And they were not alone. Chapter 7, Signal. The Orion maintained a stable orbit above the lifeless planet, its engines humming softly, systems on alert. The tension aboard had not subsided after the explosive events of the past days. The alien device was secured deep in the cargo bay, its containment field holding, for now. Yet, the crew's unease only grew. It began with subtle anomalies. "Captain," said Ensign Vega, her voice tight over the comms. "We're detecting fluctuating electromagnetic pulses in the vicinity. They're low frequency, rhythmic, almost like a code." Logan stood on the bridge, eyes locked on the displays. "Source?" Vega hesitated. "Uncertain. The pulses don't match any of the debris patterns. But, sir, they intensify when the ship's trajectory shifts toward a specific quadrant." "Mark the coordinates," Logan ordered. "Science team, assess the pattern. Is this a natural echo or something else?" Down in the lab, Dr. Rahman analyzed the signal with growing alarm. "It's not a random fluctuation," she said finally. "It's a signal. Structured. And it's reacting to us." "What do you mean, reacting?" Logan's voice came through the lab speakers. "The pulses grow stronger when we approach a specific orbit. They weaken when we pull back. It's as if something is aware of our position." The bridge went silent for a beat. "Could it be the device?" Logan asked quietly. Rahman's voice lowered. "That's my hypothesis. It's transmitting, or responding. But to what, we don't know." An away team was quickly dispatched in a scout vessel to investigate the source. As they descended toward the marked quadrant, the signal intensified. The readings pointed toward a gravitational eddy, dense with interference, but hidden behind the swirling veil of orbital dust was something massive. The shape emerged slowly, concealed in the debris field, another ship. Unlike the shattered wrecks previously found, this one was largely intact. Its hull was scorched and scarred, but it retained structure. No power signature, no movement, a ghost drifting in silence. But the signal emanated from its proximity. "Captain," came the voice of Lieutenant Harrow from the scout vessel, "we've found something. It's a ship, alien, definitely military design. And it looks like the signal is bouncing off it, or being received by it." Logan leaned forward. "Is it transmitting back?" "Negative. No response. But the signal from the device we carry seems directed at it." The scout vessel approached cautiously, scanners sweeping every surface of the alien warship. The hull was a dark composite, built for battle. Along its length, angular compartments jutted out like armored plates, most of them sealed, but a few breached, exposing twisted corridors and scorched internal systems. The entire vessel felt like a blade left behind after a forgotten war. Inside the Orion, Logan remained on the bridge, watching the data stream across his console. "Board it," he ordered. "Explore the forward sections. Focus on what looks like the weapons bay." "Understood," Harrow replied. The team breached an access hatch and entered. The interior was cold, desolate, long halls filled with dust and remnants of a different world. Alien script lined the walls in places, unreadable and unlit. They passed through what appeared to be crew quarters, mostly destroyed, and continued until they reached a reinforced chamber. "This looks like an armory," said one of the engineers. Inside, mounted in cradles, were long cylindrical devices. Some were shattered or warped, but several remained pristine, heavy, missile-like structures with exposed coils and segmented casings. Energy readings were faint, but present. Ramon's voice came through comms. "Captain, these look like weapon systems. Possibly plasma-based, judging by the structure. Advanced. Lethal." Logan's voice was immediate. "Can we bring them aboard?" There was a pause. "We'd need to clear space. A few of them, maybe. But do it," Logan said. "Mark the rest for possible retrieval later." The away team began transferring the torpedoes to the shuttle with extreme care. Back on Orion, in the cargo bay, the containment field holding the alien device fluctuated again, just slightly, a shimmer across its perimeter. Then the pulses stopped. "All signal activity has ceased," reported Vega. "The device, it's silent." In the lab, Ramon studied the latest data. It went quiet as soon as the warhead-like weapons were removed from the alien ship. It's possible the device was responding to their presence. Or worse, it was calling to them. Logan frowned, stepping away from the main display. "Then it's too dangerous to keep it." "But Captain," Ramon began. "No. Whatever it was trying to reach, we don't want to be the ones delivering it. Prepare to jettison the device." It wasn't a popular order. The scientific team protested. Voices were raised, arguments made. But Logan remained unmoved. "The weapons will serve Earth. The device could end it." The airlock cycled, and the alien artifact was released into the void, spinning silently as the Orion began its slow ascent out of orbit. Below them, the dead planet offered no answers. But high above, the recovered weapons lay in storage, and the questions they raised would echo long into the future. Chapter 8, The Final Argument. The tension on board Orion had not lessened. If anything, it had begun to condense into something solid, something sharp, something dangerously close to breaking. The corridor leading to the conference module remained unusually quiet, no idle conversations, no scattered laughter, only the low, mechanical hum of the life support systems that now seemed to breathe heavier than the crew. Captain Logan sat at the far end of the narrow table, arms folded, back straight, eyes cold. Across from him, Dr. Eleanor Grant, head of the scientific division, held his gaze with unwavering intensity. Her usually composed demeanor was cracking, strained by exhaustion, frustration, and something else, betrayal. "You threw away the most significant discovery in the history of xenoscience," she said slowly, voice barely above a whisper, but it carried the weight of a verdict. "Do you realize what you've done?" "I do," Logan answered. His voice, by contrast, was steady, almost quiet. "I ensured the survival of Earth." Grant's fists clenched on the table. "That device was still active. We could have learned." "We did learn," Logan cut her off. "We learned that it could override Orion's systems. That it was communicating with the alien warship. And we learned that it was not just a relic, it was a threat." He stood and stepped closer, placing both hands on the table. "You want to preserve knowledge. I understand. But that knowledge was pulsing with something we couldn't control. I wasn't about to gamble this crew, or our home, for curiosity." Grant stood as well. "Curiosity is why we're out here at all, Captain. You made that choice unilaterally. I made it because it needed to be made." The silence that followed was a void, stretching between them like open space. Others in the room, 2 officers, 3 researchers, the ship's XO, remained seated, watching the confrontation unfold with eyes that revealed just how deep the rift had grown. "We are not soldiers," one of the researchers muttered. Logan turned. "No, you're not. But I am. And I was given this mission with a purpose." "Which is?" Grant snapped. "To find a way to defend Earth if war ever comes," Logan said simply. "And that thing, whatever it was never going to help us win. It could only consume us." He took a breath. I chose plasma torpedoes. You chose a talking virus. That's what it comes down to. A long silence fell after Logan's last words. No one moved. The words, talking virus, hung in the air, sharp and final. Dr. Grant looked away, blinking slowly as if she were trying to process not just his decision, but its consequences, on science, on Earth, and on herself. Finally, the XO, Commander Pierce, cleared his throat. We need to focus on what's ahead. The ship's systems have stabilized since the device was jettisoned. The alien warship has shown no sign of further activity. And we're nearly ready to plot a course back. To what? Grant asked, looking around the room. To applause? To military parades? We're going back with crude weapons salvaged from a dead civilization, and we left behind a mind that could have told us how they lived, how they died. We're going back with tools that can be used today, Logan said. And we left behind a liability that could have compromised the ship in deep space. This mission wasn't a philosophical expedition. It was a search for answers Earth could use. Strategic answers. You keep saying that as if we weren't trying to do the same, Grant said bitterly. Logan exhaled. I know. But sometimes the path splits. And sometimes, one branch ends in fire. A quiet knock sounded from the comm panel. Logan turned and tapped it. Bridge, report. Captain, we're ready for departure. Course set. Engines primed. He glanced at the room. Dismissed. People filed out slowly, some exchanging glances, some nodding silently to the captain or the doctor. The divide among them had been made official. It was no longer an undercurrent, it was structural, part of Orion itself. Only Grant remained. She lingered at the door, turned halfway, and spoke without looking back. This wasn't the only choice. It was just yours. Then she left. Logan stood alone for a moment longer, eyes on the darkened window beyond the conference room. The stars outside didn't twinkle, they burned cold and bright, distant and unmoved. He whispered, not to her, not to the crew, but to himself. It was the right one. Epilogue. They left the orbit of the dead planet behind, abandoning the ashes of a civilization that had vanished long before humanity ever reached for the stars. The cargo bay of the Orion no longer held the mysterious device that had been sending signals into the void, but a weapon, alien, crude, incomprehensible, but real. A weapon that could shift the balance of power on Earth. Silence reigned on the bridge. Logan stood before the projection of the starfield, feeling exhaustion, bitterness, and hope all at once. He didn't know how Earth would respond to his decision, whether he'd be condemned or hailed as a hero. But he knew one thing: if humanity ever faced what had destroyed the world they'd just left, it wouldn't be knowledge that saved them, it would be strength. And now, they had a chance. Communications with Earth would be restored in a few days. For now, only the cold of space, the hum of the engines, and the distant shimmer of the nebula. Captain Logan took one last look at the image of the forsaken planet. Then he turned and said quietly, "Set course for Earth. Activate defense fields. Let them know we're not coming home empty-handed." The Orion turned, like an arrow drawn in a taut bow, and vanished into hyperspace, carrying with it the secret of another war, and the beginning of a new era.